What's up, everybody? It's Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff. He's Anwar. Breaking news in the world of Texas football. Not completely related to Texas football, but yeah, kind of absolutely related to Texas football. Oklahoma starting quarterback John Mateer out, not indefinitely, but indefinitely into October, and what would appear to be way beyond the Texas game based on early reports. It sounds like he'll be back, they hope, by the end of October. The timeline still seems to be a bit murky, but Mr. Richardson, as I tell everybody to go hit the thumbs up button on the channel and jump into the Specs chat and let us have your commentary. Wow, a really big moment in the season for OU football, and the consequences and the trickle down to Texas football, I think, has a chance to be absolutely immense.
Well, it's crazy because, listen, we've been talking about Mateer a lot over the last week and a half, couple of weeks, and because of the success that Oklahoma has had, and they're just coming off of beating Auburn, and we go into Texas in the bye thinking to yourself, okay, they've got two quarterbacks, one Lagway, we probably hasn't been playing that well. But there's a report that comes out that he was in a boot, yesterday, and you're saying to yourself, okay, that's interesting. And then Mateer, now the news is that he's got to have surgery on his hand. And look, surgery on your hand, Catch, that's a month. I mean, there's no circumventing that. Texas is in 2.5 weeks. And so what's interesting for Oklahoma team that had to fight injuries last year, it finally seemed to be on the right track. Whether we think Mateer is, the minutia of who he is, he was their leader. And as Texas gets ready for the next 2.5 weeks in the month of October, knowing that guy's not going to be here is crazy. Here's another one, Catch, that's even crazier. Someone put this on Twitter. The amount of backups that Texas faced last year, Gunnar Stockton being one of them, Marcel Reed, I guess Kentucky, if I remember correctly, they had a backup. Florida, remember they picked up some guy that I swear that literally seemed like he was off the street at some point. They had Michael Hawkins last year, and then Michael Van Buren from Mississippi State. And now they potentially DJ Lagway's in a walking boot, and Mateer's got, he's more than likely he's not going to play. I don't know where Texas is buying their holy water from, Catch, but they need to order some more of that.
Well, remember a couple of years ago, Jalen Daniels, like in the pregame, just wasn't going to be the starting quarterback.
Yes,
yes. We talked about all year long that he might have been the best quarterback that Texas would face all year. And then in the pregame warmups, it was like, Jalen Daniels not going to play today. It was like, oh, okay.
Correct.
I think you couldn't be more spot on. We can quibble about what levels we think John Mateer sits at, where he is as a passer at this level. He's 1,000% the straw that stirs that drink for Oklahoma. He's kind of their only running game. Now, look, Michael Hawkins will be able to give them some of that and replace. I mean, he's really athletic. He's a good runner. He's probably a more explosive runner than Mateer. Mateer's such a tough guy. A little bit of, for me, kind of a poor man Sam Ehlinger a little bit. Just in that, a little bit like Sam, I've wondered all year long, is he going to be able to, are they going to use him in the SEC like they're using him early in the season? And I wondered, we've talked about it all year long when we've had the conversation, can that body and hold up? Can it hold up in the SEC? And a little bit like Sam, the early answer on that playing style, it's part of what I worry about with Arch when Sark says he wants to get him more involved in the run game and open him up to more contact. I mean, these are the things that can sometimes happen. I look at this OU offense, Anwar. They don't really run the ball well. They don't have receivers that really threaten opposing teams. I mean, They're a screen game offense. They're a short passing game offense, and they really were able at times this season, they've been able to make that work, but they are not the one play drive, 57 yards. They don't have the guys, I guess, that A&M has right now, where you look at where they're at in the middle of the season, and maybe we don't know what to think of the quarterback. You look at the skill pieces around him, though, and you go, those guys are pretty good. I look at what OU does on offense, and almost all of the credit from me goes to Mateer. And I don't think the offense is great, but we talked about can Oklahoma score 20 points in that game?
Yeah.
The answer with Mateer is, can they? Yes. Will they? I don't know. But now with Michael Hawkins in there, and the question is, can OU score 20 points against this Texas defense? And I really don't think so. And if Oklahoma is going to win this game, they'll have to render Arch and the Texas offense completely neutered, because Texas will do a number on Michael Hawkins. It's a hard thing to expect that guy in a couple of weeks to be able to do to the Texas defense what, quite frankly, very, 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 very few players, nobody really has done in the last year and a half.
Yeah. And I mean, they did it, as Cody's pointing out in the chat, they did a number on Hawkins last year. I mean, he was rendered useless in that game. And you almost felt, but no Texas fan really felt bad for him. But there's a part of me that I was like, oh my God.
The human side of you.
It's like, okay, you throw the damn towel. Like it was that kind of moment. Like it was bad. And so it's not going to be much better, for them. And like, look, it's crazy, Catch, because like you said, Mateer gives them their best chance, their best opportunity for success. He just is. And, their saving grace is they've got Kent State this upcoming weekend. And, that might be their fool's gold to make them think, oh, all is going to be well. But then if you're Oklahoma, and you knew once you got into October, the schedules start going to get tougher anyway. But now you're talking about going at it without your quarterback, where you're talking about going to Red River and facing Texas. Then they're at South Carolina. Then you're talking about facing Ole Miss, and then you're at Tennessee. Catch, if he misses 3 or 4 of those games, I mean, the Oklahoma season and all what it could have been is probably done at that point. But it's going to be hard to beat Texas without Mateer. Okay. At South Carolina without him, probably it's just as hard. And then you have Ole Miss. You got to hope he's at least back by Tennessee. But, in my opinion, and clearly you seem a little bit different, I think they're a dead man walking without the guy.
Well, I do too. I think, the start to their season, at least from a record standpoint, was pretty in line with what I thought they would do. All offseason, I thought that they would beat Michigan at home, and I thought that they would win that Auburn game, although I thought those games are losable, but OU should win those games. I've thought that OU's an 8-14 based on what I think awaits them on the back half of the schedule, starting with the Texas game. And then if they were to lose one of those early games and then come out of the Texas game with 2 losses, that's when I thought we might be looking at 7-5, and maybe Brent Venables doesn't keep his job. I think what's really interesting now is that they could go 8-4, 7-5, and have a really disappointing season now based on what's happening. Like that was already potentially on the table because of their schedule, which the SEC just didn't do them a lot of favors.
Yeah.
But now, because of the optics, if OU goes 7-5, 8-4, and look, nobody in Norman's talking about this. It's not like Venables today's on the hot seat. They're in the top 10. But if you're looking at like where this thing would be at the end of the year, if it was 7-5 or 8-4, I think there'd be a lot of pressure. And I think now he gets a get out of jail card that no matter what happens, if they were to lose out, I think he'd be able to say, I had us in the top 10, We had the number one Heisman ranked player in the country.
Yep.
I don't give a damn what Jeff Ketchum says. Vegas had him as the number one Heisman guy. And then we lose him, and this season kind of got away from us because when he does come back, it will be in the if he comes back on the timeline that people are talking about, he will be inserted back with no rhythm. You know, the kind of thing that's happened to Quinn the last couple of years, where it's like, hey, we need you to be back, and we got big games we need to win. So if you could hit the ground running and carry us on your shoulders, that'd be great. It's a really tough spot for the Sooners to be in. For a program that had to feel a week ago or just days ago or minutes ago that they had real reason to feel like things were starting to take liftoff. This is a brutal blow. And I'm serious. Like, if you were in Oklahoma City tonight, do you lead with Mike Gundy or do you lead with John Mateer? Because I would argue, as individual sports stories, there might not be two bigger stories in the state of Oklahoma in sports all year long, with all due respect to Oklahoma City, on the football side of things. Because the Thunder, right? But but I'm telling you, I've worked in local news before. In Oklahoma City tonight, they're like, we're leading with Gundy. We got nothing better than Mike Gundy. And then at 4 o'clock or 3:30 in the afternoon, the leading Heisman candidate?
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
I mean, and the thing is, I think you lead with Mateer because Oklahoma had hope. Like Oklahoma State, that's almost putting them out of their misery at that point. That, hey, the last 2 years have been really bad.
That's a discussion.
But yes, but like it is a huge discussion. Like it's not a clear one way or another thing. I don't, and you're not wrong with whatever station they decide to go with that. I'd be curious to see what they're talking about on Oklahoma radios and stations right now. But it's a big blow. At least for Oklahoma State, you can tell yourself, well, things will get better. If you're Oklahoma, you're like, damn, we've been suffering and things were better. And now it's about, is there a way to hold on to this? But if he's got this broken bone in his hand, catch, that requires surgery, that's got to be 4 weeks, catch. That's got to be 5 weeks. Like that's just the math on it. And that puts you, if you start this week, but then start next week, that's Oklahoma, that's Texas. So you got a week down. The following week would be South Carolina, catch. That's 2. Third week would be Ole Miss. Fourth week would be at Tennessee. Now you're talking about maybe does he return for at Alabama, or do you say that, hey, the season's gone at that point, and do you just say, you know what, we just need you to get healthy for next year, and or do you say, hell, we need to be bowl eligible, and shoot, we need you to get us over the top. Like it's an unfortunate situation for them to be in, because we know what this program looks like when they don't have a quarterback, and we know what it looks like when they kind of do. When they did have a good quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, we know what that program looked like, and we know what they were looking like now. But when it doesn't have a quarterback that can walk and chew gum at the same time, and Hawkins is not that guy for me, maybe he ends up proving me wrong, but he looked like trash last year.
Well, I mean, they bring in Mateer because Hawkins isn't the answer.
There you go. For
the same reason that when Texas brought in Quinn Ewers,
it
was like, hey, man, it's nice knowing you, Casey and Hudson, but like, no offense, but y'all ain't ever going to be the dude over that guy. And, if you're Texas, so what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm hearing the chatter of like, well, you're lucky and you're catching breaks. And like, you know what? There was a time when it felt like Texas was playing every number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft that played quarterback. It was like, no matter who it was like they got a piece of Texas at some point. And, it goes like that sometimes. If you're Texas, though, look, if Arch Manning had to miss the Oklahoma game, you wouldn't hear Oklahoma fans being like, that, they'd say, y'all are the most talented team in the SEC. No excuses. Next man up. He wasn't even that good. It did you guys a favor. Like, nobody is shedding crocodile tears for anybody else.
No.
Like, let's not even pretend. It sucks for Oklahoma, but if you're Texas, it's a great thing to have happen to the program. I mean, they are legitimately in a position where they've got a one-game margin of error where they can lose and confidently make the playoffs. If they lose 2 and go to 9-3, they're not definitely out, because we have seen that a year ago it was at least a conversation. But, I think it would be more unlikely than likely if they were to go 9-3 to miss rather than make. This opens the door for 10-2 and making the playoffs to be potentially much more likely. And hey, man, never apologize when the ball bounces your way. And it could still not bounce Texas's way. Again, these things, they have a way of catching up to you. And look, you can say that the Mateer thing is bad luck, or you can say, hey, we did talk about whether or not that style of play and whether his body would hold up in the SEC. It will be a question when he comes back in a year from now. We'll have this. We did it with Sam every year. It's like, if you're going to ask your quarterback and he's not built like Cam Newton or Vince Young to carry the ball 15 times a game, can he hold up? And I'll tell you this, Onward, I talk about it every year. The answer in college football more typically than not is no.
No. Sailor Joe came in with a super chat check. Catchy says, I don't think they play Mateer. Goes, the thing OU has going for them is Arbuckle, OC, Fitz Hawkins. But I think Texas still wins if Arch is clicking.
Dude, you do realize that when he plays that first game, he has to do essentially what both Julian Sayin and Arch Manning had to do. No offense to Kent State. You can't simulate the game speed that Texas will. That is, Oklahoma needed to flip Auburn. Yeah. The best thing that could happen for Oklahoma is that Michael Hawkins could see somebody that's not quite Texas, but brings enough to the table that when the game in Dallas happens, it's not, holy hell, this is moving fast. And it's tough to do. Look, if Arch Manning were to get hurt in the next game in Gainesville, and they had to play, I don't know, in the same situation, Matthew Caldwell, kind of cold turkey without a lot of real high. I would feel the same way for Texas that I feel about Oklahoma. It is a massive disadvantage to put your quarterback through. And again, I don't know that we just have given this Texas defense enough credit. I've been on Orange Bloods today with a couple of different posters, and we'll wrap this up. There's no reason to go, but this is directly to the point of Mateer. Had somebody earlier today, and then someone else chimed in and said the same thing, like Jalen Gilbo, Texas cornerback, weak link of the defense. I was like, weak link of the defense? I went on to Pro Football Focus. I was like, let me just look at the numbers with him through 4 games. The weak link of the Texas defense, Mr. Jalen Gilbo, has been targeted 13 times this season. He's given up 7 passes, 7 catches for like $109. And the one big play is the play against Ohio State, the 40-yarder that everybody kind of remembers. Beyond that, including the rest of that Ohio State game and the 3 games that followed, he's given up 6 catches for 69 yards. That's less than 2 catches and less than 20 yards a game. And he's the guy that people are viewing as a weak link of the defense. That is most defenses MVP. I could take those stats and apply them to the number 1 corner at almost any school in the country, and you would take that and go, yeah, we'll take some of that. This Texas defense on the back end is so good that it's like, maybe Kobe Black should be on the field instead of Jalen Gilbo. And look, I think Kobe Black is sick from a talent standpoint. It's a little bit like when Jelani McDonald was coming up last year and you were like, man, Andrew Makuba is really good. And so is Michael Taft. But that 4, kind of like to see a little bit more of him. And so Texas is just really deep there. And the idea that I struggled with the idea that John Mateer would pick this Texas defense apart. We just can't say things out loud because we're trying to like create engagement. Like it's not a real at this point, the idea of Michael Hawkins leading Oklahoma to a win in that game over Texas feels like a stretch at this point, unless you tell me that some real circus stuff happened. Oh, you forced 4 turnovers. There was a punt block and a kick return. And like, you got to start creating these, well, if a needle in a haystack can be found, like that is right. If it's like, hey, if OU could block a punt for a touchdown and then strip sack for a touchdown and they get like 14 points from correct. Yeah. But that happens once or no times in a season that like, it's really hard to plan on that. And so I think it makes Texas a double-digit favorite in that game. And if they're not careful, I would say take Texas giving the points. If it's like Texas in 11.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you in 2 of the last 3 years, Texas has obliterated Oklahoma. The 1 year they didn't, OU's quarterback had a career game. And kudos to him. Like Dylan Gabriel balled out that day. And Oklahoma barely won. It's going to take a nuclear effort from the quarterback position at Oklahoma to give them a chance to win this game. And even if Michael Hawkins is competent, that's probably not going to be enough on a neutral site to beat a team that's significantly more talented than you player for player. OU's real advantage is that you could look at their defense and go, might be able to do to their quarterback what they can do to our quarterback. I just think that Arch is better than Michael. Whatever Arch is, he'll enter that game, I think, in a better position to help this team win a game than Michael Hawkins is.
Yeah.
I don't know what Michael Hawkins' strength is in this offense, but I would probably try to get him on the corners and let his feet do as much as possible because throwing against this Texas defense feels like a recipe for, again, if it's like Texas plus minus 11 or 12, which it probably will. I mean, if you engage in those types of things, I would keep an eye out because, and if you can still get Vegas odds on that game below 10, because it was like 9.5 this morning.
Yeah.
You ain't getting that number for much longer, FYI.
No, you better jump on it. Hey, by the way, Catch, last year, Hawkins, this is a crazy stat. He had 20 carries, Catch, rushed 20 times for 27 yards, Catch, an average of 1.4 yard per carry.
Well, that includes sacks.
It does include sacks. But
however, every quarterback has sacks in their numbers. And if we were to look at Arch's numbers or Mateer's numbers right now, he
gained 61 yards. Okay. He lost 34. So his net ended up being 27. So even if you just went 20 for 61, that still ain't impressive.
No. And look, that's how it's just, look, It is what it is, Oklahoma fans. It's not ideal. I think you guys know. It changes everything about that game. OU probably still, no matter what goes into that game, it will look like a major scalp for Texas because when that game will be played, OU will be ranked what OU will be ranked. And for Texas, it's going to count as a resume win. They will have beaten the top 10 team. Now, I know at the end of the year, if their rankings are gone, but, it looks shiny when it happens. It will lead the college football news cycle that day when it happens. And Texas has, I think, a real chance in the next couple of weeks now to recertify themselves as, oh, okay, you guys really are in the mix for the playoffs and a national championship. And, you know, the only thing I think that changes that is if something happens to Texas that just happened to Oklahoma. That is the thing, the nuclear button that can change a season just happened to the Sooners. And if you're Texas, you know, take your vitamins, say your prayers, and be thankful that, like, it's not you today, because it could be. And this live video could be a completely different topic. Instead, it's about OU's misfortune, and it does go that way. Anwar, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah, hit like and subscribe, guys.
Like, subscribe, go to Specs if you need to get some needs taken care of tonight. They'll take care of you. Let that rabbit help you find your beverage of choice today. For myself and Anwar Richardson, and he's right, hit that thumbs up button, not to celebrate an injury, but because you got something from Anwar and I out of this over the course of the